All right. Well, welcome to the Common Constitutionalist Weekly Podcast, and I am the Common Constitutionalist. And today I want to at least attempt to get to two topics, both concerning our favorite topic, immigration, illegal immigration, not just immigration, but illegal immigration. First one is the flap about the sanctuary city thing. Hooray, we're finally going to get something done on that. And the second one is, just basically about illegal immigration, the Mark Zuckerberg flap with President Trump. And all that today on the Common Constitutionalist.
You are listening to the Common Constitutionalist, broadcasting from an undisclosed location, free from the prying eyes of establishment-like helicopters.
Okie dokie. So the first one, this first thing about the sanctuary cities, I downloaded an article by USA Today, called McPaper, some people call it. They write, President Trump is hailing the first victory in his fight against sanctuary cities after a South Florida mayor ordered his employees on Thursday to begin working more closely with federal immigration authorities. Hooray. Good job. For years, Miami-Dade County has refused to hold some undocumented immigrants, let's just say what that is, they're criminal illegals, or let's just call them criminalians. How's that? In its jails for federal immigration agents. But after Trump signed an executive order threatening to withhold federal funding from sanctuary cities, Miami-Dade County Mayor Carlos Jimenez changed his mind. Good job, Carlos. Quote, Miami-Dade County complies with federal law and intends to fully cooperate with the federal government, the Jimenez executive order read. Jimenez said he made the decision to ensure that the county does not lose out on $355 million dinero in pesos. Yeah, that's the ticket. In federal funding, it has coming in 2016. Because it has coming because it's an entitlement. See, they're entitled to that money, of course. And it's they're entitled to, not that money, our money. That's right, our money. Trump was quick to praise the decision, tweeting on Thursday, right decision, strong, ! Unquote. The term this is a USA Today again. The term sanctuary city is a broad term that describes up to 300 communities, 300 communities that have policies, here, dig this is how they word it, protecting the nation's 11 million undocumented immigrants from deportation. What's undocumented? I mean, is it like that you show up somewhere and they say, can we have your photo ID? I left my wallet at home. I must have left my papers somewhere. That's I'm undocumented because I forgot to fill out the paperwork. No, you're not an undocumented immigrant. You're an illegal criminalien. That's what you are. It's not there's no document because you can't get any documents. So undocumented is completely absurd. But I digress, as is my wont, constantly, evidently. So they protect 11 million undocumented immigrants, right? Well, would we put up with a mayor or a city council who exclaim that their policy is now to provide sanctuary to criminals? Is that what we think? Because that's what these people are. They're federal criminals because they broke federal law in getting here, crossing the border illegally. Now, I'm not talking about felonies. We all know it's not a felony to cross the border illegally. It certainly should be, but it isn't. It's considered a federal misdemeanor. So let's just put this in a different light. As an example. Would we put up with a city who decided to harbor, say, 10,000, 40,000, 50,000 ex-husband bums who refuse to pay their child support? Would we put up with that? Because that's a misdemeanor, and it ain't even a federal misdemeanor. Okay? It's not like jaywalking or anything, but it's not a federal crime. This is a federal crime. and yet we're convinced that this is a good thing to harbor these criminals, because that's what they're doing. They're not protecting the nation's 11 million undocumented immigrants. They're harboring 11 million, which is probably 20 million or north of that by now, probably. And that's what they're doing. So wouldn't it be the same thing? You know, all you ex-husbands who don't want to pay their child support, come to San Francisco and we'll harbor you against authorities. Same thing in my opinion. And nobody in their right mind would put up with that. There would be a hue and I couldn't imagine the outcry against something like that. But this, that's okay. USA continues. Trump vowed throughout the campaign to crack down on those cities. He often cited the example of Kate Steinle, a San Francisco woman who was shot and killed by an undocumented immigrant. Yeah, he was undocumented, like 11 times he was undocumented. Geez, I forgot my paperwork again. Geez, I'll have to go home and get it. You wait here. Don't worry. I'll be back. Trust me. Who had been released by the sheriff's department. Yeah, again and again and again. And the fact is that he's right to quote this about Kate Steinle, because almost a lead pipe guarantee that she'd be alive today if it wasn't for that bag of crap.
You're listening to The Common Constitutionalist. Let the truth be known.
And the USA continues. On Wednesday, Trump signed an executive order that directed the Department of Homeland Security to identify and label sanctuary cities in the U.S. And this next one, I just think this is rich. I love this, and the left is going to go bat crap crazy over this. It also ordered the department to publish a weekly roundup of crimes committed by undocumented immigrants by criminalians, including any local police departments that had custody of those immigrants but chose to release them. And I think this is freaking fabulous, because it's going to put a face to all these guys. Okay, it's no longer going to be 11 million, undocumented immigrants, unknown immigrants, just, the faceless mass of people. It's going to be individuals that have committed heinous crimes, and it's going to be out there for everyone to see. And the left is hating this, baby. And the order, man, these guys have got to be hating even reporting on this crap. The order also directed the Departments of Justice and Homeland Security to identify federal grants that can be withheld from sanctuary cities that continue their practices. Those federal departments give out millions of dollars, how about billions of dollars in grants each year to help local communities hire police officers, hold undocumented immigrants. Why would they hold them? In case they find their paperwork? Yeah, that must be it, right? Improve community policing practices and crack down on violence against women. Okay. Another portion of Trump's order read that, quote, these jurisdictions have caused immeasurable harm to the American people and to the fabric of our republic. And he is dead on right. But, of course, the leftist hack big city mayors responded forcefully to Trump's order, with mayors from San Francisco to Chicago to New York vowing to fight back. Even Boston Mayor Marty Walsh, who is a complete moron, and as a matter of fact, if I might digress, I don't remember the last time a Boston mayor wasn't a complete moron. Going back to Mumbles Menino, the guy's talked with a bunch of marbles in his mouth and was a complete idiot. And now Marty Walsh, who's an utter leftist hack, said he would even allow undocumented immigrants to seek refuge in City Hall. Marty Walsh said, they can use my office. They can use any office in this building. Sure they can. And when they start showing up at the City Hall offices, they're going to turn these people down so fast it'll make your head turn. Gee, that's what I was trying to say. Egad. But many on the left are complaining of Trump's strong-arm techniques. How dare he threaten to withhold federal money? That's like extortion. Oh, really? Extortion. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine, and you don't even have to go very far back. Let's look at some of the Obama's extortions that the left just happens to forget all the time. How convenient.
You're listening to the Common Constitutionalist. Let the truth be known.
Remember this one? This is from Forbes. The Obama administration has worked for years to lure states into accepting Obamacare's Medicaid expansion under the false promise of flexibility. The Obama administration is desperate for a national leader like Florida to expand Obamacare, hoping it will set off a chain reaction to convince leaders in other states to fall in line. But so frustrated with its lack of success in convincing conservatives to give up their principled opposition to Obamacare, the administration has moved to a new tactic. And actually, it's not really new for the Obama administration. They used it all the time. Last month, this goes back a few years, Obama officials sent a letter to Florida's Medicaid agency warning that it may not authorize $2.2 billion in unrelated Medicaid funding unless the state agrees to expand Obamacare. I'll be darned. Extortion. Yet this wasn't extortion, but the Trump thing is extortion. Funny how that works, ain't it? And what about this one? This was just from a few weeks ago. Mindful of the clock ticking down to a Trump presidency, the Obama administration issued a final rule on Wednesday to bar states from withholding federal family funding funds from Planned Parenthood affiliates. But, so he's ordering states that they're not allowed to do this, that they have to give the money to Planned Parenthood. Okay, well, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's everything wrong with Trump's sanctuary city thing, okay? Oh, how about this one? Remember 2011 when they had the debt ceiling fight with Obama, and he hinted that Social Security checks might be held up if he didn't get his way? Remember that? Oh, gee, Left, do you remember that? Do you remember the interview with CBS News anchor Scott Pelley? Here's the exchange. Pelley, he said, quote, "Can you tell all the folks," and he's talking to Herr Obama, Can you tell all the folks at home that no matter what happens, the Social Security checks are going to go out on August the 3rd? There are about $20 billion worth of Social Security checks that have to go out that day after the government is supposedly going into default. And Obama's response? Well, this is not just a matter of Social Security checks. These are veterans checks. These are all the folks. They love them folks on disability and their checks. There are about 70 million checks that go out each month. Let that sink in for just a second. 70 million checks that the government issues every month to people. I was going to say citizens, but silly me. People. So Pelley came back and said, can you guarantee as president that those checks will go out on August the 3rd? And Obama, the extortionist, because he wanted the debt ceiling raised, Obama said, I cannot guarantee that those checks go out on August 3rd if we haven't resolved this issue, because there may simply not be the money in the coffers to do so. And he knew that that was a freaking lie, and that he was the one who makes that decision where the money goes. And if he wanted all those Social Security checks, they would go. And it was him all along, which is the big freaking lie. And he knew it, and probably Scott Pelley did too. And it's all just a game, an extortion game. And then, of course, there's this. The Obama administration, remember the bathroom bill, North Carolina? The Obama administration is considering whether North Carolina's new law on gay and transgender rights, makes the state ineligible for billions of dollars in federal aid for schools, highways, and housing, officials said Friday. Cutting off any federal money, or even threatening to do so, would put major pressure on North Carolina to repeal the law which eliminated local blah, 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 blah. A loss of federal money could send the state into a budget crisis and jeopardize services that are central to daily life. Yes, but that's not extortion. None of these things that Obama did are extortion. But Trump, following federal law is now extortion. Sanctuary cities are illegal, and yet if we try to close them down and rescind their funding, that's extortion. Yep, makes perfect sense for me. Okay, guess we're done with that one.
You're listening to the Common Constitutionalist. Let the truth be known.
All right, welcome back. And apparently Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook founder and everybody's favorite guy, has come out also against Trump's immigration policy. And I don't for the life of me know why anybody would be listening to Mark Zuckerberg. He developed the Facebook, a social media thing, and I don't know why that makes him an expert on politics and or immigration, but hey, that's just me. So this comes to us from Yahoo and Business Insider. Mark Zuckerberg came out against President Trump's executive orders on executive orders on immigration policy in a lengthy post on his Facebook page on Friday. Hooray for Mark Zuckerberg. Quote, like many of you, I'm concerned about the impact of the recent executive orders signed by President Trump. At least he calls him president. Unquote, Zuckerberg said, referencing the orders Trump signed earlier this week to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexican border and prioritize the deportation of, here we go again, undocumented immigrants from so-called sanctuary cities in the U.S. We already went through this whole undocumented immigrants. It's not as if the immigrants just showed up in America and said, oh man, that's right, I forgot to sign my documents. They got no documents. They're illegal criminalians. Let's get that right. In so-called sanctuary cities. A sanctuary city is, in fact, a sanctuary city. They're holding criminals, and they're harboring them from the federal government. So-called sanctuary cities are, in fact, sanctuary cities. That's why we call them that. They're not so-called. Mr. Zuckerberg continues, quote, we need to keep this country safe. So we're going to start sanctuary cities and harbor all the criminals from the federal government. That'll keep us safe. Let me start over again. Quote, we need to keep this country safe. So we should do that by focusing on people who actually pose a threat. You mean like illegal immigrants? Yes, they pose a threat. Unquote, the Facebook CEO continued, expanding the focus of law enforcement beyond people who are real threats would make all Americans less safe by diverting resources. Here we go. Diverting resources while millions of undocumented folks, why do these people always love the folks, who don't pose a threat, will live in fear of deportation? Well, they bloody well better live in fear. They better live in fear to the point where they just up and self-deport. That's what I'm hoping for. And he said, what was it again? Would make all Americans less safe by diverting resources. You mean resources like the hundreds of billions of dollars we've diverted to phony green energy and other global warming bullcrap? You mean those types of resources? Yeah, those types of resources. Yahoo and Business Insiders continues by saying, while he was critical of Trump's stance on immigration during the presidential campaign, Friday's post is the first time that Zuckerberg has publicly addressed the president's policies since the inauguration. Whoop-de-doo. His comments also come one day after Facebook COO, Chief Operating Operator Sheryl Sandberg, voiced her opposition to Trump's anti-abortion executive order. But didn't you hear? There are no such things as abortions anymore, at least not in the first trimester. I've heard the procedure now, the left is going to call it by its new acronym RUD, R-U-D. And what does that stand for? Well, it stands for Removal of Unwanted Debris. Since, remember, there's no baby's heartbeat, evidently, according to the left, in the first trimester, so you can kill it dead. I don't know how you're going to kill nothing dead, but that's okay. So it'd be like pulling a nail out of a tire, or maybe cleaning out your garage. Who knows what you'll find in there. And since there's no heartbeat, like Planned Parenthood and the rest of the left insist, it could be forming, the non-baby could be forming into anything. It might be a box of old magazines or a busted-up toaster. Who knows? I mean, you just never know what you're going to find in the garage, and it certainly isn't going to be a baby with a heartbeat, so why would you think you'd find one in your own womb? There you go. But again, I digress.
You're listening to The Common Constitutionalist. Let the truth be known.
And then they posted Zuckerberg's full post on Trump's immigration orders from Friday. So his post goes as such. My great-grandparents came from Germany, Austria, and Poland. Priscilla's parents, that's his wife, were refugees from China and Vietnam. The United States is a nation of immigrants, and we should be proud of that. No, Mr. Zuckerberg, the United States isn't a nation of immigrants. It's a nation of citizens. People immigrate to the United States at least they used to, for the sole stated purpose of becoming citizens. That's what the United States is supposed to be made of. Citizens, not a nation of immigrants. We're a nation of immigrants. We're a nation of disparate, like a patchwork quilt, and the seams don't even mesh together. That's how separated we are at this point. So yeah, right now we are a nation of a bunch of different disparate immigrant groups, but we're supposed to be a nation of citizens. He continues, like many of you, I'm concerned about the impact of the recent executive orders signed by President Trump. We need to keep this country safe, blah, 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 blah. We know all about the diverting of funds and all that other crap, all that I just mentioned. He said that we should also keep our doors open to refugees and those who need help. That's who we are. Oh, is that who we are? Had we turned away refugees a few decades ago, Priscilla's family wouldn't be here today. And how many refugees, Mr. Zuckerberg, have you and Priscilla taken in? You've got that humongous freaking compound in Hawaii. I bet you could fit thousands of refugees on that compound alone. How many have you taken in, Mr. Zuckerberg, with your gazillions of dollars? I bet a total of 0. And he ends up with, there's all a bunch of more bull crap in there, but he ends up with right now 750,000 dreamers, the dreamers from the DACA from the DACA executive order. Dreamers benefit from the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program that allows them to live and work legally in the U.S. and free by collecting benefits. They go to free school, and they get lots of college scholarships that would otherwise go to actual American citizens. So that's a great benefit for American citizens, isn't it? And he ends with, we are a nation of immigrants, and we all benefit when the best and brightest from around the world can live, work, and contribute here. Well, that would be great if these people were all the best and the brightest, but the people that are slogging across the Rio Grande aren't the best and the brightest. They are looking for the handout. They're looking just to get out of Mexico or out of South America or Central America, and they want to get to America because that's where the golden egg is. And they know it, and we know it. And apparently up until now, no one seemed to give a crap. So that's about all I've got. This is the Common Constitutionalist signing off. Y'all have a great balance of a weekend. I'm not sure that I'm going to do a podcast next week. I'm debating it because it's Super Bowl weekend, and it's a big deal because, once again, as is usual, every other year or so, or every year, the Patriots are in the Super Bowl. Hooray. And if you're not a Patriots fan, I feel sorry for you. So that's all I've got. Common Constitutionalist signing off. I'm out. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Common Constitutionalist Weekly Podcast.